So normally right here I go, what do you like, what do you not like, what do you want to keep, what do you want to get rid of? But unfortunately, it looks like the few people we had to have for service today had other engagements who couldn't stay for the post-service, so that's okay. I mean, it's not mandatory, it's voluntary, but so it's just you and I today.
Yep.
So I thought that I would, since we have this opportunity, I would take the time to introduce you to all the people out there who don't know who you are. Justin has been with the church for what, a little over 6 months now?
Somewhere around there, 6, 7 months.
Okay.
Feels like 9 or 10.
Like 9 or 10 years, doesn't it? Justin and I have known each other for several years. And it's kind of strange the way that he came to the church. I think I just kept hounding you, didn't I?
Yeah, basically, which that's kind of how we met anyways.
Kept pounding, keep pounding, and then he finally came to a service. And I tell you, he shocked me because he came again. And he came again to another service and to another service. I think you were hooked.
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, I think that's wonderful. That makes me feel like we're doing something right here because, you know, your talent has been immensely appreciated.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you do here at the church.
Well, it's I guess the official titles that have piled up so far. Director of IT is what was the big one that we started with.
That's the big one.
So, man, it's the servers in the back and the computers up front. And
that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
That's the security and all that stuff, however minimal it might be. Then I also are the meat of the design for the program, and then the PowerPoint I do, which, I mean, that was mostly designed from you anyways.
That's okay, though. You know, you've taken it over and you've done a great job.
And then for Sunday services, I do most of the setups, and then I run the actual teleprompter and the PowerPoint and everything back there.
God.
And then the sound equipment that we've got now as well.
Yeah, he's doing just anything that has to do with computers or audiovisual, he's taken care of. So I can't really see. Is this where the camera is? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not usually looking right at the camera, so we're like kind of doing this dialogue thing. I'm having to figure out where we are. It's a lot of bright lights, folks. Okay. So just tell me about, you know, what made you, I mean, decide to, I mean, look, I mean, you had no idea what we're doing here. I'm just a crazy guy having a church service in his apartment or his condo, and you had decided to come. What in the world made you decide to come back again?
Well, the biggest thing, the biggest draw was always the fact that you preached that God is not a separate entity from what everyone else views as a greater power. You preached that God was all of those greater powers, just with the different names.
Sure.
And that was the biggest lure, always for me. And
why?
Like what used to be the reason that I would discount God is now the reason that I know that He exists.
So why did you discount God?
Because it was more of a societal thing.
Okay.
Is the best way of saying it. It was easier to go with that flow and then fall in line and just kind of stay with it.
Isn't it always? It's always easier to go with the flow. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago about being shepherds and not sheep.
Right.
About, you know, not going with the easy and actually, you know, shepherds don't go with the easy. They make changes and they do the hard thing. And sometimes they're looked at like they're crazy. But they have to bring the sheep with them, bring the flock with them, and they have to become shepherds and lead the sheep. That's what we're called to do as Christians.
Right.
So, you were here for a little bit of time, and you volunteered for the church. Not only were you coming to the church now, but you were crazy and you volunteered for the church.
Well, I mean, the troubles that were
obvious
around before were outside of the church. You know, that was annoying.
No, don't spread all the dirty laundry.
No, I mean, so I mean, my natural want is to help, as it is already, and so this was a very natural progression to come into helping this church that I fell in love with so quickly. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because, like I say, you are. I mean, let me tell you, the first day he came in, I did the program every week, and that's a lot of work to do by yourself. It just was. Yeah. It was just a lot of work to get it all. And I can't. He's got all these cute little programs and everything. He gets all the formatting done and everything for him all beforehand. I'm sitting there line by line trying to put it in and make it fit everywhere, right? So the first day that he comes in to volunteer, I said, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to watch me do a program, and then I want to let you do a program, and I'm going to sit here with you and watch you do it. He had no questions. None. Not only did he have no questions, he wrote a syllabus about how to write the programs, how to make the programs exactly the way I told him to do it. So now that anybody that comes in can read this syllabus, this whatever you want to call it, that's what I call it, the syllabus, on this is the steps you take to make our church service. This is our program. It's done. I mean, it's so simple. I mean, this is what, people pay big time money for this. Don't think about it. That's feel free to donate. It's DallasULC.com. There's a donate page right there. So tell us a little bit about your background in faith. What kind of faith background do you have?
Well, growing up, I didn't really ever have much. I mean, my grandparents weren't even going to church before my grandfather, I guess, was diagnosed with cancer. So it was about that time that they started going back. They found the church, Sunnyvale First Baptist in Mesquite, or just outside of Mesquite, obviously.
Big church, from what I understand.
At one time, it was big. It was really big.
Still a big building.
It's a big building. They've got some new leadership.
That happens. That happens.
But they were real good. They were not real big with the church. They just were. They would go every Sunday. And about the time that I came out was whenever I started going as well, because they had asked me to go. And, it was something to do with them, and it was a bit of getting away from the family and having someone else there to listen. Because that youth minister, they didn't care. The church leadership didn't care that I was gay.
That's interesting though, because you say when you came out, you went to church.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, there are what they call gay churches. And there are accepting churches, and there are, all-inclusive churches. This church was really none of those.
No, you wouldn't. I mean, it's a Baptist church, first of all.
So why in the world?
I mean, it was just there's, like we said, there's no coincidences in any of that.
There's never coincidences there.
I guess it laid a bit of groundwork. I mean, I was baptized there. And it was, looking back on it, a bit of going through the motions.
Sure,
but it was still a bit of a foundational premise. For this at this point, I guess.
I mean, I think the thing is, you obviously have talent to do what we needed done. I mean, in our offices, you've been, like I said, just fantastic. But to find out also that you have this common thinking in the way that we believe that God is and that our Christian faith is, because let me tell you something, we're pretty out there on some stuff. It's kind of crazy.
But what's crazy is that most of the way our church teaches is exactly the way I've always thought of what you would consider a greater power. Because my greater power was always the belief in knowledge, the belief that there was always more to learn, and that the whole point of it was to pass it along.
Absolutely.
And so being able to finally link that God is knowledge and that he wants you to pass that information along, that is how you were a shepherd. That was all that I ever needed at that point.
You hear this, right? Now, see, I've actually, I'm going to tell you something that's kind of a secret to most of our congregants, but I've actually offered, he's only been here a little over almost 7 months, okay? I've actually offered him a deaconship here at the church because he's qualified. I mean, he has the desire, he has the will to learn, he has the ability to he has the ability to lead, he doesn't know it yet. So I'm still waiting on his answers. Still waiting. It's okay. I want you to be sure, and I'm throwing it on you pretty quick. I am, but I have faith in you, and we just have to, you've got it down. I mean, every week he challenges me on the Bible, and it's wonderful. The way he keeps up with it like this, and he's right on it. Yeah, we're going through it, several times a week in the same verse, the same this, that. But a lot of people still don't get that. I mean, I've had people that worked for me in the past that, we've gone through it all week and they still don't know what verse we're reading or what book we're reading it from, or that they were an apostle, or it's the gospel,
what music was being queued up, or
anything like that. And that's not necessarily saying anything bad about them. That just wasn't their forte. That just wasn't for them. That's not what they should have been doing. And
I mean, kudos to them for at least giving the try.
Hey, they were here when nobody else was.
Yeah, that's more than most.
So I mean, that's I've had a couple times when I've done the service by myself, and let me tell you, it's not only very jumpy, because I'm running back and forth to the computer, but it's. I mean, like I said, I like to have some audience participation out there where I can see. Because if I'm saying something totally off the wall, and I'm just looking at a camera, I can't see your face. So I don't know that you're not getting it.
And right up until we have some sort of live stream where people can comment and stuff,
Oh,
we
Lord.
really won't know.
Then I'll really be confused.
That would be just an amen typing it on the computer or whatnot.
Where do you see yourself? I'm going to put you on the spot. Where do you see yourself in this body of Christ, in this church? And where do you see the church going? Honestly, give me your honest opinion.
Well, the second part, I guess, would be the easier answer,
It would
obviously. I mean, we could say that our hope, obviously, is to grow out of where we're at now.
Right.
And to get at least into a small building, a small church, something, anything that's not here. Because this is the biggest
Well, it's not horrible. I mean, we've got space.
But it's the single largest.
Condo now.
But it's the single largest barrier that we have.
It is.
To getting more membership in
Because
here.
it is a residential area. It is residential, and it's not, I can't market it the way I want to, and I can't. It's not a church.
No.
People just don't feel comfortable.
Especially since it's gated and
Right.
this and that and other stuff.
And yeah, if anybody out there knows, I mean, look, Dallas is tough right now. We're looking very hard. We just need a very small space to lease to have our church services, and we're not crazy. We don't blast the walls down. We're not going to come in and it'll be nice and quiet. Just most of the week, just be office duties up there, and then services on Sunday. So help us out if you know of anybody that they're doing real estate or anything. Hey, we take donations too. It's tax deductible. I'm telling you. All right. And then the other part of the question.
Honestly, that one I've not given it much thought. I guess
He's good. He's good. He's leaving us in limbo on this one.
Obviously, I can't. It's hard to stay stagnant for me.
Well,
It's always been hard to
You
stay.
don't stay stagnant. You're always learning, and you're always teaching too. You just don't know it. You don't know it. I mean, you have become a leader here, and I think the guys look up to you. I think they listen to you, as
One would hope.
I hope, and that's admirable. I'm not sure you realized that you had that quality within you. I think that you realized you had a lot of talent. You know your talents, but I don't think you ever realized your ability to jump in there and lead. I don't, and I think once you fully realize that, you may be taking my job. You're on this.
Well, it's one of those if the needs dictate.
Well, needs are put there, and God puts us in the place of those needs and in the vicinity of those needs for a reason. It's up to us to answer His call. I'm trying to. I really am trying. Okay. All right, so let's talk, just so we can talk a little bit about it, because we had the service today. We talked about the ascension of Christ into heaven. And we gave some reasons about the moon and this and that. And all those
I really did enjoy that dichotomy that they were talking about with the moon, and the opening story was rather cute.
It's cute. Yeah.
This one I had read through before, as I normally do. That was the only part that I had read was that moon exploding thing.
Cute.
That was really adorable.
Now, if I can just get the names right in the Bible, I don't think I will ever. I don't think I will ever. I mean, all through, I just won't get it. I just can't do it. They go in, and they're supposed to tell me the right pronunciation of it, and I'll say it, and the next time I have to say it again, I just
Every single time.
every time
It doesn't
every
matter.
time it doesn't matter. It gets
Like
stuck.
where was it at? Minutia.
Yeah, Musha. I'm sorry. What did I say? What did I say? And see, listen, English was big for me. I was the editor of the newspaper in Jesuit. Starting my freshman year, I was the only freshman ever named editor of the Roundup.
That doesn't necessarily mean you can pronounce these words.
No, but I was good. I was an orator. I was an actor. I'm excellent in public speaking. It's just and when you're looking at it, look at it this way.
Yeah,
it's totally different reading it from a script, or even just saying the word from your mind, and going off a teleprompter or going off of your piece of paper. It's just different. You see things differently.
And being an actor, you're actually already on stage. You're constantly saying it over and over and over again at that point.
Right. It's rehearsal. We don't really have much of a rehearsal here. I read over my, I write my sermon, read over the sermon, and we go from there.
Right. And then I try my best to catch some mistakes and formatting stuff as I put it in the teleprompter and whatnot.
And then I don't know about it, and I go, wait, I can write that.
Yeah. Well, today there was a bunch of different stuff that I hadn't caught that you were actually really on top of that I wasn't expecting for you to really be on top of. Like I was pausing.
I saw that. And you were looking at me kind of going, yes, folks, I do use a teleprompter. I do that because I want to make sure that I get all of the information in. And I have a tendency to wonder when I just talk.
Yes.
I'll just kind of we'll go up way off here in right field and we'll go way over here in left field, which will be going this way.
I mean, watch any of the other roundtables sometimes.
For sure.
You know,
we get on some crazy stuff. That's not all just me, though.
No.
I mean, that's not all me.
No, not at all.
But by doing that, I'm assured of the fact that I get the message out to you that I'm trying to get out. And I get this message out to the people here in the church. And then at the roundtable, we can go from there. You know,
right.
We can talk about whatever we want to then, and they can expand on it.
And that's the point of the roundtable, is to be able to go out off script, more or less.
It's kind of, I think of it as levels. You know, we have the gospel, where I read the gospel from the Bible. Okay, yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. It's kind of rough. I mean, sometimes it's hard to really put yourself into those shoes and understand it.
Especially as we get farther and farther away from that time period. I've noticed back whenever I was first going to Sunnyvale First Baptist, some of those ideas I would grasp a little bit better or differently.
Sure. Maybe
because I didn't have all of these other worldly influences at that time to influence me.
Innocence, maybe.
Right.
So innocence lost.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, that's the big deal with the round table. And then your sermons is being able to bring in some of the new current
That's the idea.
Of relations.
That's the idea. I consider it like a level system. So you got the gospel, and it's great. Wonderful words there. Some great words of wisdom, things to live by. Wonderful stories about Jesus Christ and how he is our Savior. Well, we don't always understand all that. It can be kind of confusing. So we go to my sermon. And my sermon is me basically talking to you and telling you, this is what I believe that this is, and this is how I interpret this, and this is how we at this church believe, and we go from there. Well, that doesn't always get it right either, because I can't relate with everybody, and
I mean,
some people just don't get it. And
even last week, you had to stop after your sermon to make an actual point of what our beliefs and everything was.
And sometimes I don't get it. Honestly, I mean, sometimes I don't get it. Sometimes and these guys catch it sometimes, catch things about the sermon or about the gospel that I've never even thought of, and I go, well, that's another way to think of that. That's really interesting. There's so many ways to look at one verse of a sermon. Think about the whole of a gospel. Think about the whole book of the Bible, when all of these different minds can meet and look at and just so many. It's a kaleidoscope of ideas and different ways to look at it and points of view. It's amazing what you can get if all that could just. There's no one point of view to the Bible. It's no right or wrong way to read it, but it's the way you take it and interpret it, and it's amazing all the different ways that it's done.
And rather than being hostile about the information you're getting, why not
open your mind,
allow that information, and then
take what you want and you use
exactly,
and leave the rest.
And there's no point in nitpicking, like this says the arcane minutia of the Bible. There's no point in
what does that mean?
It's the tiny little insignificant details at times.
Right.
Is what that
nitpicking stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, that's what wars have started over in the past and whatnot. So.
And of course, okay, and the final step of that little trichotomy is the round table where, I open it up. Really, I don't want to do as much speaking. I think I speak too much during the round table, but I try and get the guys and get the gals in the church here to talk and to see what they think about things and it leads us to wherever it leads us. We go, and when we go as long as it feels comfortable. When when I start seeing a couple yawns, a little fidgeting around, I pretty much know it's time to cut it off. So,
and I mean that's right that you talk as much as you do, because that's the point of the leader at that time, is you're having to bring together all those crazy ideas that we throw out at you.
Oh yeah,
and you've gone through enough in your life that you're able to see different points of view and bring all those different stories together.
Sometimes
3 or 4 different stories, oftentimes.
Not always. I tell you, sometimes poor Ronnie. I mean, he's got an amazing mind, but
he can't always get to the final destination.
And we've gone to 4 different
from where we've started,
almost final destinations before we get there, and I'm going.
I can't keep up with it.
I don't know where you are right now, but thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he's just one word, and he takes a left.
He's got an amazing mind. He does, and we just got to get him to hone that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So this resurrection, this ascension of Jesus Christ. What do you think about
that? To see anybody just rise up in the air, that would.
Well, first of all, you're seeing a man who was just killed.
Still with the holes in his hands and whatnot.
Talking about, he's got wounds in his hands and his feet, and he just ate some fish.
Yeah, some boiled fish.
So, Well, I mean, here's like I said, who's a ghost? Zombie? What's going on here?
I mean, clearly not, because he was eating. Not a zombie, because he wasn't eating us.
Is that what zombies do?
Yeah.
I don't understand the zombie thing. I don't get it. Let's not get into it, but I don't understand it. I don't have this infatuation with zombies.
It's the new thing.
Anyway, I guess. So, Jesus Christ, why does he ascend to heaven? Why does he and his body, why does he go up there?
It's the representation that's what we will do after we turn to dust, is that our souls will ascend with him into heaven.
Is that all?
Well, I'm sure it's not all. But
What else did I talk about? First of all, we talked about the two different books of the Bible that we talked about today, which was Acts of the Apostle, and Luke.
Yeah.
And they were both written by the same author, but both books are very, very different. And Luke ends with the ascension of Christ, and the book of the Acts of the Apostles begins with it. And the Acts of the Apostles is actually the beginning of our ministry. It's when we're going out to the four corners of the world. We're still doing that now. That's what we're doing now, is that ministry, that Christian ministry, is what is started in the Acts of the Apostles. So it talks about how they're very different because of the fact that one's an ending, a farewell, and one is
the beginning
of us.
Yeah.
And what we're supposed to do. I'm trying to kind of see if I can find where we. There's a lot. It's hard to always.
Yeah, because the sermon got in a bit with the person who would announce the end of the world was coming,
I know.
and I mean, I
have more stories about the end of the world coming than you'll ever know.
There've been so many of them, and I mean, we all experienced the end of the world several times through our lives as it is, anyways, which is an interesting alternative look on that one as well.
It is,
and I like what they say, how while he and his ideas would have brought many people into the greater church, at the same time, think of how many people that pushed away as well, unfortunately.
And I'm happy with anybody going and worshiping. I think that to each their own. And mega church, great. If you love that, great. A small little prayer group, great. Yeah. But do something. Doing it by yourself is great, but you need guidance. You need somebody to nudge you every now and then. You need another person there to sometimes keep you on your straight and narrow. And that's what we do as Christians, brothers and sisters. We keep each other. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you what your path is. I'm not here to tell you how you're supposed to live your life. God does that.
But we're here to hold your hand when you need your hand held.
That's right.
And even if when you don't realize that you need a little bit of a shoulder or whatever. That's what other people are here for.
A lot of times we don't. Right. We don't realize. Well, we talked about last week. We talked about a lady who was going to the gym and working out, and they thought something was wrong with her. Just awful. Mm-hmm. She ended up being anorexic,
right,
and very, very sick, and almost died.
And she had no idea that she was about to be on death's door at that point.
Yeah, no idea. All right. Most importantly, just as the full moon obliterates all but the brightest stars, so too I think that if Jesus had not ascended into heaven, we might not have grasped our opportunity as disciples at doing the work of the Father, at being visible presence of the kingdom, the body of Christ. We might have stood like turkeys who are said to stare up at the sky during the rainstorm only to drown. And I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Staring with our mouths open at the wonder of the risen Lord. There's an eternity for that. Right now, the true confirmation of our belief comes from our resolve to be God's people here on the earth.
That was a great one, because I mean that perfectly explains.
That's what it is. I mean,
why he ascended? Because I mean, we would have been too busy standing here, gawking in awe at this man with holes in his hands for all eternity if he had just stayed down here. Right. On top of the fact that, well, how are we gonna get up to heaven if he never actually goes himself? He's the one who's supposed to hold our hand.
Well, he's been there.
You know what I mean?
Sure, I know what you mean. And God can do anything, obviously. But
still,
for our minds, I think, yeah, you're right. I mean, it shows it's a visible sign of what he's offering to us.
Right. And I mean, think about having a supernova on planet Earth of Jesus. That basically is a supernova of religion at that point that you were just fixated on, rather than doing God's work.
We would be. I mean, talk about pilgrimages. Yeah. You have like every evangelist out there with all their tents, and I saw Jesus, and he just and that. It's not about that, folks. No. It's not about that. Where do you want to go with this now?
Not sure. I think that was a good wrap up a bit.
Next week is Pentecost. It is considered by most Christian church is
The
the
official birth.
birth of the church.
Yes.
It's the birthday of the church. It's when the Holy Spirit descends upon the apostles, giving them knowledge and strength and courage to go and do what Christ has asked us to do, which is spread his word to all four corners of the earth. And we also ask at that time that the Holy Spirit descends upon us because we need the courage. It's, look, starting a church is not easy.
Mm-mm.
It's people think that it's
Keeping it running is even harder.
it is. I mean, we're trying. We're hanging on by a shoestring. We'd love to have any of y'all out there come to church with us. Come check us out.
Or hit us up, send us messages.
At least let us know you're listening.
We would love to know that you're listening out there.
Because if we hear from you and you at least give us your opinion, something.
Yeah.
I mean, because we thrive on that. One thing we thrive on not being is a stagnant church. I
Right.
refuse to be like the Catholic Church. I hate to do this to them, but it's the best example. The Catholic Church that I grew up in, and have all of my congregants regurgitating words that they've known, that they've been beaten into their heads all their lives. All they're standing up and sitting down and kneeling down in this, and they don't know what they're saying. They're not praying. I want, first of all, every week our service is different. None of the word. I mean, there's only a couple of things that are exactly the same. That's our creed and the Our Father. Everything else is pretty much different. And I'm always open. We're always open to change. You have a new idea. You want to change something new. You think it ought to be this. Well, bring it to us. Let's talk about it.
If there's something you want to hear, if there's something you think he should be preaching on or whatever,
come on with it.
Let us know.
Because I'm not here for me. I'm not here to hear myself talk. I'm here for you. And that's the whole idea of our church. We don't want to be stuck there. I mean, in 20 years, you probably won't recognize this church as what it was.
We would definitely hope that you don't.
No, I do too. I mean, I want it to evolve into something, that's
wonderful.
Works for each congregation. Hopefully, we'll have several congregations.
That would be great.
Look, I never want to get huge. I just don't see it happening.
No.
Round tables like this won't happen in a mega church, and I need that to happen. That's the most important part of my service, I think. So, all right. So next Sunday is Pentecost. We're changing the time. We're doing it at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
I have an appointment, and the week after, we're also doing 11 o'clock.
Yes.
So until June, there's a bunch coming up.
Right.
So the rest of this month we're doing 11 o'clock service instead of 3 o'clock service.
Correct.
It's like crack of dawn.
It'll be interesting.
And then we go back to 3 p.m. service in June, that first Sunday in June we're going to celebrate our 2-year anniversary.
Yep. Our 2-year anniversary is the Thursday before as an official incorporated.
As an incorporated church,
yes.
That's correct. That was our incorporation date. So that's our official beginning.
Right.
Wow. 2 years.
It's been a long time.
We've got to find a place.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for today. So next Sunday, if you want to come in, 11 o'clock.
Feel free.
For those of you who couldn't come in at 3, now's your chance. Come in at 11 and see us, all right? Y'all have a great week. God bless you all, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.